The second building block relates to fiscal prudence and capital expenditure push, that is capex push. At a time when public debt remains elevated and fiscal space under strain in many countries, India's fiscal trajectory stands out for combining consolidation with sustained public investment. India has moved steadily along its fiscal glide path, reducing the deficit from the pandemic peak of 9.2% of GDP in 2021 to 4.4% in 25-26 and is budgeted to be 4.3% in the financial year 26-27. This is precisely because the kind of surgical, the directed interventions which were undertaken both by the government in the fiscal front and the Reserve Bank of India in the monetary front. Central government debt to GDP is targeted to reduce from 56.1% in 25-26 to 50% plus minus 1 by 2031. In a world where many nations are struggling with inflationary pressures and widening fiscal gaps, India's approach stands out as a model of prudence and stability. A key marker of this fiscal stability is the improved quality of expenditure. The share of central government capex, that is capital expenditure, in its total spending has risen from about 12.3% in 2017-18. I repeat, the share of capital expenditure in the total spending of the central government has risen from 12.3% in 2017-18 to 22.1% in 25-26 and is budgeted to increase further to 22.8% in 26-27, strengthening the productive capacity of the economy. One of the most powerful drivers of India's growth story is its unprecedented investment in infrastructure. The country's capital expenditure has seen fourfold increase since 2017-18, rising to 11 lakh crore in 25-26 and is budgeted at 12.2 lakh crore rupees in 26-27. The effective capital expenditure, that is capital expenditure including the grants in aid to states for capital expenditure, is expected to touch 17.1 lakh crore in 26-27. These investments are not concentrated merely in mega cities, but they span highways, ports, airports, digital infrastructure, logistics networks, and urban renewal projects across the nation. These systemic interventions are reducing logistics costs, improving connectivity, and opening up opportunities beyond traditional urban clusters. Today, India is not just building infrastructure, it is building the scaffolding of a modern economy that can sustain high growth for decades. The third building block of the Indian economy, where it stands today, it relates to resurgence in manufacturing. Over the last decade, several policy measures were undertaken to shift the India story from a services-only narrative to a manufacturing resurgence. Anchored by the Make in India initiative, the country has witnessed a sustained surge in industrial output. Strategic interventions like the production-linked incentive schemes have reinforced this momentum. The manufacturing revival is especially pronounced in technology-intensive sectors. Electronics manufacturing has grown more than fivefold over the last decade, with record mobile phone production making India the second largest mobile phone manufacturer in the world.